Good morning, my friends. Today, I want to speak about something that might sound a little harsh, but is deeply powerful. Shut up and let success come. Now, don't take it literally. This isn't about silencing your voice. It's about silencing your noise. You see, in today's world, everyone is talking about dreams, goals, plans, and ambitions, but very few are actually walking the path toward them. Everyone wants success to hear their shout. But success only responds to silent action. Silence is not weakness. It's one of the most powerful tools in the journey of success. In a world where everyone is talking, posting, and constantly seeking attention, silence becomes your strength. The truth is, most people waste so much of their energy trying to convince others of their dreams instead of using that same energy to make those dreams come true. Success is not born in noise. It grows in focus, discipline, and quiet dedication. When you choose silence, you choose clarity. You stop explaining your path to people who will never walk it with you. You stop defending your purpose to those who don't understand your vision. And most importantly, you stop being distracted by the need for approval. That's when you start channeling all your energy into action. There is something deeply magnetic about a person who works in silence. They don't talk about what they're going to do, they just do it. They don't broadcast their struggles, they endure them. They don't seek sympathy or applause, they simply stay committed. The more you speak, the more you scatter your focus. But when you learn to stay quiet and concentrate on your craft, the world begins to notice your results. Silence teaches you patience. It teaches you to trust the process even when no one else believes in it. It teaches you to stay grounded while others are distracted by noise and drama. Every great achiever you admire once went through a phase of quiet persistence. They didn't make announcements about their efforts. They just kept showing up. Whether it's an athlete training before dawn, an artist perfecting their work behind closed doors, or an entrepreneur refining their idea in solitude, each of them found their strength in silence. Noise brings attention, but silence builds mastery. The more quietly you work, the more power you gather within yourself. People often mistake silence for inactivity, but silence is where momentum is built. It's in the silence that ideas mature, character is shaped, and determination deepens. When you are silent, you are not seeking validation. You are not explaining your every move. You are simply doing what must be done. And when the time is right, your results will speak louder than any words could. Think of nature. The sun doesn't announce when it's about to rise. It just appears and changes everything. The ocean doesn't make noise before it brings the waves. It moves with silent force. That's how your success should be. Calm, powerful, and undeniable. The beauty of silence is that it helps you listen, not to others, but to yourself. When you quiet the outside noise, you can finally hear your inner voice. That voice knows what you truly want, what you are capable of, and how far you can go. But you can't hear it if you're always talking, comparing, and explaining. Silence gives you that sacred space to realign, recharge, and refocus. It gives you the mental clarity to make wise decisions and the emotional strength to keep going when things get hard. In silence, you learn to value time differently. You realize that every minute spent on unnecessary talk is a minute taken away from progress. You begin to treat your time as sacred and your energy as precious. You stop discussing your goals and start executing them. You stop posting about your hustle and start living it. The more silent you become about your plans, the more successful you become in executing them. Success doesn't come to those who make the most noise. It comes to those who move with quiet intention. So stay silent when you're working. Stay silent when you're doubted. Stay silent when you're struggling. Because that silence is not emptiness. It's preparation. Every silent effort you make is a brick in the foundation of your success. People may not see it now, but they will feel its impact later. Remember, your silence is not your weakness, it's your strategy. It's where your power is refined, your character is built, and your success is born. You don't have to announce every move you make. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who speak the loudest about their goals. They are the ones who quietly chase them until the world has no choice but to notice. Working in silence is not about hiding. It's about focusing. It's about understanding that your time and energy are too precious to be wasted on validation. When you learn to work in silence, your results begin to speak for you in ways that words never could. The truth is, talk creates expectations, but action creates transformation. When you constantly talk about what you're going to do, you satisfy your mind prematurely. It feels as if you've already achieved something, and that illusion kills your drive. But when you stay silent and keep building, every small victory fuels your hunger for more. Success loves silence because silence creates space for concentration. It allows you to hear your own rhythm, to stay in sync with your purpose, and to move without distraction. When you are quietly working, no one can interfere with your process. No opinions, no judgments, no unnecessary comparisons, just you and your mission. In silence, you become unstoppable. You stop seeking applause and start seeking progress. You stop proving yourself and start improving yourself. The greatest satisfaction doesn't come from people knowing what you're doing. It comes from knowing within that you're doing your best every single day. Think about how nature operates. The sun doesn't make noise when it rises, it just illuminates everything. A flower doesn't announce its bloom, it simply blossoms and attracts admiration. In the same way, when you work in silence, your achievements become your announcement. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Your work will do that for you. And when that moment comes, when your results stand before the world, the silence you maintained becomes your strength. People may wonder where you came from, but you'll know you were there all along, quietly building the foundation for your success. Working in silence also protects your dreams. When you share your plans too early, you expose them to doubt, negativity, and unnecessary opinions. Not everyone will understand your vision, and not everyone wants to see you succeed. By keeping your goals private, you give them room to grow without interference. Your dreams are fragile when they're young. They need protection, not publicity. Each day that you work quietly, you're nurturing your goals in peace, allowing them to gain strength before they face the world. Silence also brings humility. It reminds you that success isn't about impressing others. It's about improving yourself. When you focus on your craft instead of the crowd, you begin to value progress more than praise. You stop comparing your journey with others and start mastering your own path. True fulfillment comes not from being seen, but from knowing you've evolved into someone better than you were yesterday. Working in silence builds that inner satisfaction, the kind that no external recognition can match. Every successful person you admire has had seasons of silence. Those moments when they were working late, training alone, studying quietly, or planning strategically, those silent seasons are what created their loud victories. The applause came later, the work came first. And that's the secret most people overlook. If you keep chasing validation, you lose your direction. But if you chase progress, validation will eventually chase you. Let your silence be filled with effort, with consistency, with the kind of dedication that doesn't need to be announced. When you finally reach that point where your results speak for you, you'll realize the beauty of your silence. Every sacrifice, every long night, every moment of quiet determination will reflect in your success. People will see the outcome, but never the struggle behind it. And that's the power of working in silence. You don't owe the world your process, you owe it your excellence. Let your work be your voice, let your results be your story, and let your silence be the foundation of your greatness. Growth never happens in comfort, and it rarely happens in the spotlight. Real progress takes root in silence, in darkness, and in moments when no one is watching. Just like a seed buried beneath the soil, true success begins in obscurity. When that seed is planted, it doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand recognition. It simply trusts the process. It allows itself to be covered, pressed down, and surrounded by darkness because it knows that growth takes time and patience. The same principle applies to your journey. The world might not see what you're doing, but that doesn't mean you're not growing. Every hour of unseen effort, every silent struggle, every act of persistence is nurturing the roots of your future success. The early stages of growth are uncomfortable and invisible. There's no applause, no audience, no recognition, only work, doubt, and determination. This is the season where most people quit because they mistake invisibility for insignificance. They assume that if no one notices their effort, it doesn't matter. But real achievers understand that the most valuable growth is the kind that happens away from the noise. It's in those silent nights of preparation that champions are built. It's in those quiet sacrifices that leaders are shaped. The world only celebrates the bloom, but the real story begins in the soil. Darkness has a purpose. It shields you from unnecessary judgment, distractions, and pressure. It allows you to make mistakes, learn and improve without the weight of public opinion. When you are growing in private, you are free to fail without fear. You are free to experiment, evolve, and explore. You are not bound by expectations, and that freedom becomes your greatest teacher. Growth is not about showing the world your potential. It's about discovering it yourself. In the silence of your journey, you begin to understand who you are and what you are capable of. There will be times when you feel buried, when life feels heavy and progress feels slow. But remember, being buried and being planted are two different things. When life buries you with challenges, it's not trying to end you. It's trying to prepare you. The pressure that feels unbearable today is the same pressure that will help you break through tomorrow. Every struggle you face is shaping you, strengthening you, and pushing you toward your full potential. Growth requires discomfort because transformation is never easy. It takes courage to stay patient in the dark, but that patience becomes your foundation. When you look at the most successful people, you'll realize they all went through seasons of hidden growth. The athlete who trains before sunrise, the writer who rewrites their work 100 times, the entrepreneur who fails quietly before finally succeeding. Their greatness didn't happen overnight. It was built over countless unseen hours of dedication. The reason they shine so brightly today is because they once grew quietly when no one believed in them. They didn't rush their process. They respected it. They understood that roots must grow deep before a tree can stand tall. Darkness is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's where your vision becomes clear, your character becomes stronger, and your discipline becomes unshakable. When no one is cheering for you, when your efforts seem unnoticed, that's when you are truly being tested. Those silent moments are not wasted. They are shaping you into someone unstoppable. Growth is not supposed to be glamorous. It's supposed to be gritty, lonely, and real. And when your time comes to shine, you will carry the strength of every silent struggle within you. So embrace your dark season. Trust the quiet. Keep nurturing your roots. Because one day, without warning, your efforts will break through the surface. The world will see your bloom, your success, your transformation, and they will call it sudden. But you will know the truth. You will know that your growth was never sudden. It was the result of silent, consistent effort in the darkness where no one was watching. You don't need to prove your worth through words. Your actions will always speak louder. The true strength of an individual lies not in how loudly they can talk about their dreams, but in how consistently they can work toward them. When you focus on action rather than explanation, you begin to separate yourself from the crowd. The world is filled with people who love to talk about what they're going to do someday, but very few are willing to put in the quiet, disciplined effort required to actually do it. Words can inspire for a moment, but actions inspire for a lifetime. Every step you take, every challenge you face, and every small victory you earn through effort builds credibility that no speech can replace. Proving yourself through actions means trusting time more than talk. It's easy to promise change, but it's powerful to live it. You can argue endlessly with people who doubt you, but the truth is, arguments never change minds. Results do. When your results begin to appear, even your critics are forced to respect what you've built. That's the beauty of letting your work speak for you. You stop wasting time trying to convince people and instead invest that energy in creating something undeniable. Your effort becomes your evidence. Your consistency becomes your proof. The louder your actions get, the quieter your need for validation becomes. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions, question your abilities, and underestimate your potential. That's part of the journey. But when you start responding to every doubt with determination, every insult with improvement, and every obstacle with perseverance, something shifts. You begin to realize that the best answer to skepticism is success. You no longer need to explain yourself because your results make the explanation unnecessary. People may doubt your words, but they can never deny your work. Your achievements become the loudest voice in the room. Think of the greatest performers, inventors, or leaders in history. They didn't spend their lives arguing with critics or shouting about their capabilities. They simply acted. They let their results define them. When people doubted Edison's vision for the light bulb, he didn't argue, he created it. When others mocked Wright brothers' dream of flying, they didn't debate, they built. Every person who's ever achieved greatness has understood that talk can be cheap, but effort never is. Your work carries a truth that no opinion can erase. That is why it's better to spend your time building something remarkable rather than explaining why you can. Actions also build respect in ways that words cannot. People can admire your confidence when you speak, but they trust your competence when you deliver. Every time you follow through on your promises, you strengthen your reputation. When you keep showing up day after day, even when no one is watching, you develop a kind of credibility that no speech can manufacture. In a world full of people trying to prove their worth through appearance, the one who proves it through consistent performance will always stand apart. The most powerful statement you can ever make is quiet excellence. When you do something well and do it consistently, you don't have to announce it. People will notice. Success has a language of its own, and it's one that everyone understands. No matter what field you're in, your results will always speak louder than your explanations. Instead of telling people who you are, show them. Instead of promising what you'll achieve, let your work reveal it. There is a confidence that comes from action, a calm assurance that doesn't need to shout. When you stop talking and start doing, you shift your focus from approval to achievement. You realize that the only person you need to impress is yourself. You stop being reactive to criticism and start being proactive toward progress. Every small action you take builds momentum, and over time, those actions become a legacy. So keep moving forward quietly, keep producing results relentlessly, and let your work carry your message. Because in the end, the loudest voice in the room will always belong to the one who delivers. Motivation is a powerful spark, but it fades. Discipline, on the other hand, is the steady flame that keeps you moving long after the spark has burned out. Most people start their journey with enthusiasm, inspired by a quote, a video, or a dream. But motivation alone is never enough to finish the race. It gets you started, but it's discipline that keeps you going when the excitement wears off. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep, showing up to work when you'd rather rest, and staying focused when distractions call your name. It's not about feeling ready, it's about doing it anyway. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Motivation relies on emotion, but discipline relies on commitment. Emotions change, commitment doesn't. When you depend only on motivation, your progress becomes inconsistent because your emotions are never stable. One day you're inspired and full of energy, the next day you're drained and uncertain. But when you develop discipline, you act regardless of how you feel. You show up every day, not because you're motivated, but because you've made a decision. That decision becomes a habit, and that habit shapes your destiny. Discipline builds the kind of consistency that success demands. It doesn't matter what your field is, whether you're an artist, athlete, student, or entrepreneur. Your ability to stay disciplined will determine how far you go. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't get attention, it doesn't make noise, and it doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment. But it quietly builds the foundation for every great achievement. Behind every medal, every masterpiece, every moment of recognition, there's a long trail of disciplined effort that no one saw. The world celebrates results, but discipline is the reason those results exist. It's the invisible strength that fuels visible success. While others are looking for motivation to feel inspired, the disciplined person is already working. They don't wait for the right mood or perfect timing. They create progress through persistence. Discipline also teaches resilience. When things get difficult, motivation will tell you to quit, but discipline will remind you why you started. It keeps you grounded when failure strikes and humble when success arrives. It doesn't allow you to swing between overconfidence and self-doubt. It gives you balance. You learn to focus on the process instead of obsessing over the outcome. You begin to understand that consistency matters more than intensity. Success isn't built in one day of inspiration. It's built in hundreds of days of steady effort. Discipline turns ordinary moments into extraordinary progress. The truth is, discipline is freedom in disguise. When you are disciplined, you are in control of yourself. You no longer depend on external circumstances or fleeting emotions to determine your actions. You own your choices. You decide your direction. You build a structure that supports your dreams instead of waiting for luck or motivation to carry you there. People often think discipline restricts them, but in reality, it liberates them. It frees you from procrastination, regret, and inconsistency. The most fulfilled people in life aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who have mastered the art of showing up, no matter what. The greatest rewards in life come to those who stay consistent, even when no one notices. Discipline is that quiet, patient friend that never leaves your side, guiding you when everything else feels uncertain. It doesn't ask for attention, it asks for commitment. And if you give it that, it will give you everything in return. When the noise of excitement fades, when the thrill of motivation disappears, it's discipline that keeps you walking toward your goals. Every step, no matter how small, is progress. Every act of discipline is a declaration that you're serious about your purpose. Success isn't about being motivated once in a while, it's about being disciplined all the time. You don't need to tell the world who you are, your success will do that for you. The truth is, when you focus on building instead of boasting, on action instead of attention, the results you create eventually introduce you far better than any words could. The most respected people are not the ones who constantly speak about their greatness, but those whose accomplishments speak so loudly that silence becomes their signature. Success is not something you chase with noise, it's something you attract with consistency, focus, and excellence. When your work begins to reflect your effort, when your achievements begin to mirror your dedication, you realize that true power lies in quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. In a world where everyone is trying to be seen, the most impressive thing you can do is stay humble while you work. Let others talk about what they plan to do, you just do it. Let them seek validation through attention. You seek fulfillment through achievement. There's a unique grace in knowing your worth without needing to broadcast it. When you let your success introduce you, your silence becomes a statement of maturity, focus, and mastery. People will eventually notice the difference between those who talk about progress and those who embody it. The one who delivers always earns more respect than the one who declares. Your journey should not be about impressing people. It should be about improving yourself. Every step you take toward your goal, every hour you dedicate to your craft, every sacrifice you make in silence, it all builds the reputation that words could never create. When your results appear, they carry an authenticity that no speech can manufacture. You don't need to explain where you've been or what you've done. The evidence will be in your work. That's how true leaders rise. Not by demanding attention, but by commanding respect through excellence. People remember not what you say, but what you show. Letting success introduce you also requires patience. It's understanding that recognition doesn't come overnight, and that applause is not the purpose. Many people crave acknowledgement so early that they rush the process and end up losing momentum. But those who stay patient and consistent eventually rise in a way that feels effortless because their foundation is strong. When your success finally arrives, it will carry the weight of all the silent hours you invested. It will represent every challenge you overcame without complaining, every setback you turned into strength, and every moment you believed in yourself when no one else did. That's the kind of success that speaks volumes without saying a word. It's also important to remember that the right people will always notice genuine success. You don't need to scream to be seen. Light doesn't need to shout to shine. The world might ignore you while you're building, but once your work reaches its full potential, it will be impossible to overlook. The people who once doubted you will be the same ones who quote you, study you, and learn from your journey. That's the beauty of letting success be your introduction. It transforms disbelief into admiration without a single argument. When you focus on results, not recognition, you create impact. You become an example of persistence, patience, and quiet excellence. The energy you put into proving yourself can instead be used to improve yourself. The moment you shift that focus, everything changes. You stop chasing validation and start attracting it naturally. The world begins to respect not your promises, but your proof. Every great name in history earned its reputation the same way, through dedication, not decoration. So keep your head down and your heart steady. Keep working in silence, not because you fear being unseen, but because you trust that your time will come. When it does, your success will not only introduce you, it will define you. It will speak in a language that everyone understands, the language of results. And when that happens, you won't need to say a word, because your work will be the only introduction you'll ever need. So today I urge you, stop broadcasting your potential and start building it. When success arrives, it will speak louder than your words ever could. Let your silence be your preparation, your work be your prayer, and your results be your voice. Remember, my friends, you don't need to announce your greatness. Just be great. The world will notice. Shut up and let success come. Thank you